just a quick rundown of how the day is going to go. Um, we're going to, I will introduce our coaches in a few minutes. And then after that, we'll have some feedback from the last session. There'll be a coaching demo and then a debrief on the demo. And then afterwards, we'll go into 3 breakout rooms. The breakout rooms will be assigned, and in each of the breakout room, there will be one of the 3 coaches. The 3 coaches are Angela Carter, Al Lucian, and Louisa Horn. And they will be basically facilitating the breakout rooms, and they will be looking for volunteers. I believe certain people have already volunteered to be coaches and coachees and observers. So if you haven't already volunteered, and when you get into the breakout room, the facilitator is looking for a volunteer, please step forward quickly so we can get this done. The breakout rooms will last about 40 minutes. And at the end of the 40 minutes, we will come back to the central room and do a debrief at 5 to the hour, 5 to noon in Ontario. We will conclude the session, and we will announce the date for the next session. So I will now introduce, if I may, our 3 coaches. Louisa Horn is from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Angela Carter and Al Lucian are our other coaches. And I'll pass it over to Angela and Al right now to do a review of the coaching model and why we're doing this. Angela, Al, take it away.
And I just want to let you know, I'm going to mute everyone, so you can always unmute yourself if you're called upon. Okay.
Right on. Thanks, Kevin.
Yep.
Good morning, everyone. It's so exciting to be here on this Saturday morning. Thank you so much to Bill and Doug for inviting us to be part of their shared learning series within the zone. We're super excited to bring a coaching concept to everyone, and we hope that today will be filled with all kinds of new learning, some awareness, and an opportunity to share experiences with one another. So I'd also like to thank Louisa for joining us here today as a fellow coach and being part of the learning series with us. So we're going to start out, I'll just start off and kind of give you a bit of a snapshot of this coaching concept. Some of you participated in the very first one we did last week as our sort of first testing ground of the model. We've refined it a little bit, and so you're part of session 2 of this pilot project. So again, thank you all for joining us. And for those of you who stepped up to be a coach or coachee in the breakout rooms, we truly appreciate that and look forward to the learning there. So why coaching in Rotary? Well, we really feel that coaching opens opportunities for Rotary for more meaningful and deeper relationships, and for growth and development of the organization as a whole, and really for sustainability of our volunteers. Coaching really evokes passion and enthusiasm, which we all see a lot of in Rotary. And it really helps to mobilize people to take action in a way that's really meaningful to them. And so they can align themselves with the mission and vision of Rotary and use coaching as a model for leadership, for relationship building, for development, both personally and professionally. And it's just so incredibly rewarding, and we hope that you'll be able to see a little bit of that today. What we've been hearing is really the greatest challenge for leaders in Rotary is time to do all the things that are required in the role. And so when we think about coaching, we think, what if the role wasn't about doing, but more about being in the moment of a conversation, or being a good listener and empathizing with situations that are happening, being competent at asking some really thought-provoking questions, and being supportive while challenging some patterns and some history that we have in Rotary that might be holding us back from progressing forward. And we've definitely seen some of that in this whole pandemic situation around the world. And what about being, future oriented and working in a positive framework, and most importantly, being authentic in your own presence and your own approach. That's one of the really wonderful things about coaching, is that it's a concept, it's a framework, it's a way of leadership, and everyone has their own unique style. And so what we really want you to kind of think about today, you're going to be observing some coaching sessions, but you're also going to be thinking about your own coaching style. And the best coaches are the ones that are authentic, that are, finding their way and their uniqueness as a coach. And that's where the most powerful conversations and the most valued experiences are going to take place. And the other big piece of coaching is practice. And somebody said to me long ago, practice makes permanent. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've always heard practice makes perfect. And who's perfect in our world? Nobody. So it just resonated with me so well. And I thought, it's so true. The more we practice things, the more they become a permanent part of our leadership presence, or of our, leadership qualities and characteristics. And so that's what we're building in today, is the practice session as part of our learning these new skills. So when you're in the breakout groups and you're unsure whether you're going to, put your hand up to be a coach or a coachee, I think Rotary is probably one of the most welcoming environments for practice to happen. I mean, we all get paid the same salary. We're all peers. And so it's a really great place to practice. And we're all doing it for the good of Rotary, to help each other in our own journeys within this wonderful organization. And so, I hope you all take up the opportunity to do some of that practicing here. And that's just one little piece of it. We're here for an hour and a half today. The second piece is really about practicing out in the real world. So we really, the best part and the most meaningful part of this is going to be what you take from it, and how you begin to practice it in situations, whether you're a DMC or a club president, or perhaps on the membership committee and you're dealing with some club challenges, to take this opportunity to really practice it. And we hope you will come back and share that. We did have some really great feedback from one of our participants in the last session. So we're going to call on Phyllis in a few minutes to share a little bit about her practice and how meaningful it was to her. Before we do that, I wanted to just invite Al to share a little bit about what coaching is and what it isn't.
Yeah, thanks very much, Angela, and good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for sharing your Saturday morning with us. So coaching it has different meanings to different people. What it isn't, it's not facilitation, and we sometimes get those two things mixed up. And so facilitation is more about, being in front of a room of people and driving conversations and driving ideas and guiding where the meeting might be going. Coaching is almost on a 180-degree turn from that. Coaching is operating at a very personal level. Coaching is about connecting with the person that you want to communicate with. It's about active listening. It's about asking very strong questions that are compassionate, that evoke, ideas from people. It gives them an opportunity to express their thoughts. It's about connecting with people. So it's a different style of communicating with people. And Angela and I and the team at Zone 28, and certainly our fellow coach, Louisa, we feel very strongly that the coaching model for Rotary is the way to the future, because we feel it will drive growth, we feel it will drive development, and we most importantly think it will drive sustainability. So it's about working with your fellow Rotarians, working through a problem together by listening and asking thought-provoking questions that are compassionate and demonstrating authenticity, being authentic with that person, that you're very engaged in that moment, that you're not just running off to another conversation. So that connection is where it happens. So coaching is about connecting with the person on the level, and it's easier said than done. Even as professionals, we have to step back and say, we have to ask the questions and listen, and not immediately jump in and start to offer advice. Because when that person gets to, when you get that person to where they think they need to go, it's very powerful. And then they own the idea and the concept and they're going to run with it. And that's really where we think that a coaching culture for Rotary will be very important. And by the way, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Andrew and I have had a lot of conversations about this. Coaching has been around in industry for probably the best part of 20 to 25 years. It's really picked up dramatically in the past 10 years. So all we're doing, all Angela and I and Louise are doing, is we're just taking with what has been working in industry now, that's been driving a lot of great organizations, whether that's public sector or private sector. We're just taking that and we're just transforming it into Rotary to make it to work. Angela?
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think as leaders, we're looking for new ways to perhaps, shift responsibility to the person where it belongs. And as Rotarians, I think we're all like helping people, and we're just innately in us, we're like, oh, we'll help you overcome this challenge if you're struggling getting members. And we go back into our rich history of experience, and then we want to share all of that in hopes that they'll take one of those ideas and they'll be really successful. And then we feel really good about that. We feel like we've provided value. But the experience of coaching actually flips that coin, and the real powerful impact happens when we open up an environment for someone to have time to think about things on their own and come up with their own ideas. And then, like I was saying, they then own that, and they're excited about it, and they're willing and ready and able to get out there and take action on what they've come up with. And the beautiful part is they can never come back and say, well, your idea didn't work, because we won't be offering up our ideas. So it does take some practice, and that's why we're here today to introduce this concept, to have an opportunity to practice a little bit and get our feet wet in this whole new concept of coaching within Rotary. So Phyllis, thank you so much for joining us here today. And I'll just ask you to unmute yourself and just share your experience since the last session in practicing some of this coaching in your area.
Well, thank you. I totally enjoyed the last session. That was so amazing. And I really wanted to actually put it into practice and see how I could make it work. And so how I did it, maybe not perfect, but I certainly moved from doing the presentations that I was doing to clubs around membership, from sort of, as you said, having all these options, right? And the whole presentation being about sort of throwing it at them, possibilities. What I did change around was the beginning of my, because I also talked to them, and one of the things that people said is they need ideas as well. So I used ideas from our district, just some examples of some successes. And then I left about half the time, if not more, to having a discussion. And then, so that was a great way for them to discuss ideas and what they thought could work, and just help them move through that by asking questions. And so that made a huge difference. And I saw them, they were lit up at the end of the meeting. I felt like they felt that they owned it. They felt good because it was, it worked for their community or their Rotary Club. And I thought there was probably more commitment from them around membership. So I think, and the feedback I got from them was really excited, so that they were really happy with the presentation and how it went. So that was my experience. So thank you for allowing me to, add that to my toolbox, and just, it reminded me. It's not like I didn't know, but it kind of reminded me and put me there. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Phyllis. I just have one question, for you, and what was the difference for you now being in that coach role in how you practiced something new for yourself?
Initially, I was a little bit nervous, just because I thought, okay, this is pretty new to me too, right? So I'm, and how's it going to work? But I gained more confidence as I kept practicing. And so, and you know, and I'm trying to practice that more in my personal life too. So it's something that's added. Not always perfect, but you know, I try.
That's why practice makes permanent, not perfect. That's right. Perfect is a very high expectation to live up to, and we don't have that of anybody here today for sure.
It was great. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, Phyllis, thank you so much. And you know, and I say the practice really does, you know, have the greatest impact on all of us. And the more we practice, I think new awarenesses become evident in us. And the debriefing that we're going to do after each session is really where the shared learning can happen. When we as adults learn, we learn from practicing, we learn from having conversations and dialogue. And, you know, having somebody just in front of us, you know, talking to us the whole time is not, it's not all that much fun for us as adults. And so I think this whole coaching opportunity and the opportunity to debrief and chat about what we've learned helps everybody learn, because chances are we'll be able to connect to what's happening here today. So keep that in mind as we kind of go through. We will have, we're going to do a bit of a demo session. So I have Margie here from District 6360 who's volunteered to be a coachee. And we're going to give you a live demonstration of what a coaching session could look like. Again, it's open for observations, and everyone's coaching style is going to be very different. And every situation you're coaching in is going to be different. And so, you know, we're looking for debriefing after we have the coaching session, just to kind of explore what you saw and what you observed perhaps in the coaching style, and what you observed the impact was for the coachee in this situation. We have about 10 minutes for the coaching session, and it's a very quick snippet of what a coaching session might look like. So given that we may not get as far along in the coaching experience today, but when you go out there, you'll certainly have a lot more time in those coaching dialogues and conversations to see a little bit more perhaps impact than you might today. After the demo, we're going to have a debriefing of about 10 minutes. So we'll have an opportunity to hear from a few of you here in the session. In order for us to keep to our timing though, we may not be able to hear from everyone. So we invite you to ask questions or put some comments in the chat room, and we'll hopefully be able to see those and address a few of those as we go along as well. If you'd like to change your view to the gallery view is the one that gives you all of us on the call. The speaker view will give you the person who's speaking at the time. In a coaching session, when we do this live, we would be sort of up in the front of the room, and you would be looking at just the two of us and not people around you. So for Margie being the coachee here, Margie, I'm going to have you not look at the screen really and and pretend like nobody is sitting here in our room. And it's just you and I having a coaching conversation. And again, I believe everybody's muted. So we hope you enjoy this coaching demo, and we'll be debriefing shortly after. Okay, so Margie, thank you so much for volunteering to be our coachee today. We're really excited to have you join us and to spend some time together. One of the things that we've been sort of, you know, talking about at the zone level and the district levels is some of the impacts that COVID has brought to our Rotary clubs. And there's some concern that clubs have gone dark, or perhaps aren't meeting like they used to, or are just struggling. And I wondered, you know, for you, what are some of the struggles that are happening in your district with your clubs around that?
Thank you. As I reflected on where the struggles are, and the clubs that are in our 54 clubs that comprise Southwest Michigan, the clubs that I'm really concerned about the most are the ones that are struggling to even meet. They're struggling because of lack of response. They're not feeling, they're the ones that are going dark or only partially meeting, or just they just want to meet in person. They don't want to embrace this newfangled Zoom kind of stuff, technology. And I'm struggling with how else to help them because they're really resisting Zoom or GoToMeetings or whatever. And they have, from what I've heard from a couple of them, they have sent out emails about whether they want to meet, and the response is, no, we don't want to meet until we can meet in person. Some of that was, I think, because they thought back in April, they thought it would be just 6 weeks, but now it's longer.
Yeah, it is definitely, it's a big change for the Rotary world,
Yes.
because that was a big part of who we are and what we do. So we've got about 10 minutes together here, Margie. And if you were to think about at the end of our session, where you would like to be, what you would like to have accomplished, what does that look like?
I'd like to help those clubs that are not meeting to meet at least in some fashion. If it's meeting at a restaurant, social distancing, and some of these clubs are very small. I like them to meet in some form and just start meeting and seeing that they can do something. So that they still have a club.
Okay. And now part of that outcome that you're describing to me is you want to really help them. What does help mean in your role as a district membership chair?
I want them to see options,
Mm.
that they have options and how to meet and where to meet, even though their place that they have been meeting is closed, and they've tried meeting outdoors, or they just have membership that if they can't have it the way they've always had it, we're not going to meet. Help them to open up and look at options and possibilities and really see that their community needs Rotary. The world needs Rotary. So I like them to see what they can do, not what they can't do.
Excellent. I can see the passion for you. I mean, you believe in Rotary so much, and it's just exuding from you right now. And I would imagine in any conversation you would have with those leaders, that would come through. How can you take that passion into your conversations with them to open up their eyes to some of what you see as opportunities?
Oh, you're good. So my passion is community service. So and meeting the needs of our community. So I'd like to ask them, so what's going on in your community? What's the big need? What is happening in your community because of COVID? Is it food? Is it economics? Is it what's happening to your school district? What's needed? And is there something that Rotary could do to help meet those needs? I'd like to ask them those questions.
Mm-hmm. And when you have these conversations and you're opening up, have you had them with other clubs? Have you had some of these conversations before, and how have they gone?
Yes, some other clubs that I have worked with last spring when I was still district governor and helping them, they said, yes, they wanted to meet the needs of like the homeless in Battle Creek, providing hand sanitation stations and helping them with masks, and what it really helped them turn the corner. We've got to meet so that we can start planning to work in our community. So that was really a momentum there. Another group wanted to meet because of food, distributing food. assisting the United Way, and another Blue Zones group. So it was seeing the partnerships, but they had to mobilize, and they had the wealth of workers right here in Rotary. Rotarians are people of action. So they didn't have to go looking for volunteers. You already have a group of volunteers ready to work if just we ask them. And we have to show them how they can do it safely with COVID safe standards.
Mhm. It's interesting when I asked you to look back into your experiences before. I almost saw these light bulbs going off for you on, things that had happened, and the enthusiasm and the lighting up of your eyes that happened as a result. It's really important to draw on those past experiences to help you move forward and have some new conversations with your clubs to help open up the opportunity to look at options. So if you were to draw on what you believe to be the greatest successes of those conversations, and then, add what's happening today, what would that conversation look like tomorrow if you were hoping to find some of these options to be able to help them? We have lost
Yeah.
there.
Our grandfather clock was chiming and I turned it off. So you didn't hear the 11 o'clock hour. So it's a really complex question. I'm trying to wrap my mind around. So what I felt like was successful today and how I want to take it to the future.
Yeah, when you draw on some of your successes, your successful conversations, and then you think about what's happening in your district today, how can you take some of those successes and add the current situation and have that influence your conversations for tomorrow?
The successes of some of the clubs that were not meeting and are beginning to meet, and we found the key person, like a club in our district was not meeting until this last week. And it was really hard because the president of the club is the superintendent of schools. Well, superintendent of schools, they have too much work on their plate right now. They can't even think about running a Rotary meeting. So I really pressed a member of their club that's very passionate about Rotary as well as I am, and said, Dale, your club needs you. You need to help your club and your president. If he still wants to be president, that's great. Maybe take a whole chunk of this organizing, and he can't do it. Would you do it? And so if that success helped them start. So I think what I'm saying is I need to find that another person in this other club that is well liked, can do this and take it off of the president's plate, or offer to assist the president to get things going.
Very interesting. What else might you be able to do?
Do one-on-ones. I'm just thinking maybe one-on-one Zoom meeting so that they can feel comfortable with it. Find out. I need to of course, talk again with that president or membership chair and see, probably just listen to them. Where are the problems? What do they need help with? If they're open, a couple clubs are not open to even starting until they can get back in person. But just constantly having that check-in and conversation with, what do you want? How do you want to get there? Asking them questions. What do you want? What do you see happening? Where do you want to go? This looks like we're in this for a long haul, longer than what we thought for in the beginning. So the decisions we made back in April or May, carrying out now, it's too hard. We're not making those good decisions. Can we revisit those decisions? Asking them a lot of those questions.
And by doing that, what's that going to allow for?
Allow them to make their decisions to hopefully go forward.
And when you look at your role as the DMC, what does that allow for you in your role?
I think it allows for success.
That's,
I mean, we energize people, and I get energized by meeting with people. And like I'm energized today because I'm just talking with you. I don't care if it is on Zoom or in person. I get energized by seeing people. But I think that comes through. And I think that people can be energized with that. And really challenged. And one of the things I like to do is present a challenge to find one thing that their club could do for their community that will make a difference, because everyone wants to help make a difference in this world.
That's awesome. Wow, what a great ending to our coaching session. So thank you, Margie, so much. Normally, if I had time, I would circle back to how you are feeling now in terms of finding some options and help. I think, yeah, we'll give you a chance to take a deep breath. It was amazing coaching session, and we're going to go to the group and open it up for some questions, comments on what you saw in the coaching session, and we'll look at all the things that are positive. What did you feel went really well, and what impacted you the most in this 10-minute session? I think we have Neil's hand up.
One observation I'd make was that your responses to Margie were not judgmental. You didn't say, "Oh yeah, I agree with that," or like, you're far too polite to say, "No, that's a stupid idea, Margie." Rotarians, we wouldn't say that, but that was part of your response was to encourage further talk rather than make it put your own judgment on whether Margie was going in the right direction or not.
It's a fantastic observation, Neil. Thank you so much for that.
Susan Delati, if you unmute yourself, you can talk. Unmute yourself, Susan.
I particularly liked, Angela, when you talked about Margie exuding passion and watching her face. But what was even more interesting for me was that you said, how can you now take your passion and open up other possibilities? And I just saw her face light up. That was a really important moment for me.
Thank you. I think, was it James? James that had your hand up?
Yeah, I did. And what I wanted to say is I thought that you as the coach did a great job in terms of providing a stable and useful environment to the coachee. So the coachee didn't feel that they were, not being effectively addressed. One thing I didn't notice, I guess I would say, is I didn't seem to see that you set a boundaries in terms of a time limit or how much time you had or she had to communicate back and forth. And sometimes I think by addressing that boundary up front, at least you can accomplish what you want to accomplish in that period of time. That's my two suggestions.
Yep, absolutely. That's very, very important. Thank you so much. So we're going to move along and give you an opportunity to go into your breakout rooms and practice again. So in the breakout rooms, we're going to have 2 coaching demos. We're going to have the same scenario. We're going to have 10 minutes to coach, and then we're going to have a 10-minute debrief with the smaller groups in the breakout sessions. And then we're going to go back into another coaching demo with 2 new people. So we're going to be looking in the groups for someone to be a coach and a coachee. So we'll need 4 volunteers. And then the Louisa and Al and myself will facilitate the breakout sessions in terms of the debrief and the feedback. And then, like Bill said, we're going to come back into the larger group and debrief again about the experiences and plan for the next session. So I'm going to ask Kevin to randomly break us out, and then he'll need a minute to get the right people in the right groups, and have fun and just enjoy the moment, and really you know, get some practice and have some fun doing it. I think we still have 39 people here. So wonderful experiences in the breakout rooms, I'm sure. Mine was awesome, and I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in all of them. So we've got some time to just, you know, share some of our experiences in our breakout rooms. And so I'm just going to open it up to the floor here and ask people just to put their hands up, and we'll go around the room and get your feedback on the value of that experience and what you learned. I see Sue Foster.
Hi, no, I just want to reiterate what I had said in our breakout room. I found this very, very helpful to get my mindset around coaching rather than giving advice. You know, like everybody has said, Rotarians seem to, they have a lot of ideas and they just want to put those ideas out there and say, try these guys, these will work or these won't work. And so I was saying, like, I'm going to be doing some coaching calls next week, and as part of the membership committee for the district. And this has put a whole new way of how I'm going to approach it. I'm going to be coming up with some actual questions to be asking the people that I'm talking to, rather than just giving them a list of stuff they should try.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sue. Susan, I see your hand up.
I was one of the lucky ones to be a coachee, and I'm relatively new to Rotary. 2 things that really struck me. One, the value of coaching. And Shirley, who was my coach, talked about these, I took a note there, that you've got some sort of clubs that are sort of guinea pigs, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about that in terms of how they actually do using the coaching. But the other thing that really struck me, as Louisa mentioned in our group, the new members like myself, this is a way of getting involved. We don't have to pretend to have all the answers. We don't have it, and they all know we're new and we don't have it. But to ask those questions with experienced people to get their answers, I can see us going out to clubs and having great conversations. This has been a superb use of my time today. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much, Susan. That was so incredibly powerful. And to think that you had that kind of experience with a coach who may have been doing this for the first time as well. So, you know, imagine what the possibilities are for us as we practice and practice and practice. So we've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more comments. Shirley.
So you can blame my mom. My first name is Shirley Pat. I have 3 godmothers, so just
Okay,
Shirley, I might look behind me and look for somebody else. I had the absolute pleasure of having a conversation with Susan, and I would highly recommend that if you have any clubs that have retracted new members during COVID, that you have these how-to conversations with them about why did they join and how they can bring their experience to your club and sort of revitalize that positive thing. If anyone's interested, we are doing the District 5040 People of Action membership pilot, where we're spending 4 months with clubs one-on-one to do coaching that utilizes the Learning Center and all of the lovely Rotary materials that your dues pay for. So please use them. And I highly recommend, if you're struggling for where to start with questions, Sue said you're coming up with a list of questions, go to your health check. Look at your health check statements. You can turn those into fabulous coaching questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shirley Pat. And we have time for one more comment. I see a hand up. I'm trying to go between two screens here. Any other comments? Okay. It doesn't look like we have any. So I maybe Al and I will jump in, and I just would like to say thank you so much for everyone participating here today, for engaging in this session, for being brave and courageous to jump on stage and be a coach or a coachee, and for those who are observing, thank you so much for your valuable feedback, for the encouragement and the support that you've given your fellow Rotarians here today. And we certainly look forward to continuing our journey in coaching, and make sure that all of us kind of go back and take this and practice, and come back and share some of your wonderful successes. So I'll turn it over to Al for some comments, and then over to Louisa for comments from her session, and then back to Bill to wrap up our session here today.
Well, let me start by saying that it's just a tremendous honor and privilege to be with everyone today, and for taking, basically a half a day to talk about coaching with us and practice it. And you know what, as coaches, every time we coach someone and we go into a session like this, we learn. And I learned some things myself today. And so I want to thank you for giving that back to me. And I'm just so grateful that everybody is engaged with this. I was in breakout room 3, and we had 2 wonderful coaching sessions. They were both very powerful, and very proud of everybody who participated in this. And as Angela said, this isn't about being perfect. This is about being permanent. And it's about being in a mindset. And as Rotarians, what makes Rotary powerful in my mind is each and every one of us as individuals, because the ideas and the solutions that we have as individuals is very powerful. And that's what's going to get us to the other side of COVID-19. And that's what it's going to maintain a really strong future for us. So as coaches, this is what we can bring to Rotary today, and bring all those ideas out and all those thoughts out that everybody has, because those folks have the solutions. So thank you again, Angela.
Thanks, Al. And Louisa. And then I'm sorry, I forgot, Kevin's going to do a little survey with everybody, just 4 questions before we leave as well. Louisa.
So you've heard from 2 people that were in the session that I was in, which was just fabulous. I just was thrilled with hearing the great questions that were asked. And I think, what we need to remember always about coaching is how appropriate it is, more so now perhaps than in the past, in these, and I know nobody likes the word anymore, unprecedented times where we don't have all the answers. Nobody has the answers to the tough questions that we're dealing with in Rotary. We can't just go into a club and say, here's the list of things to do to deal with clubs going dark. Here's the list of things to do when your fundraiser isn't working anymore. We don't have those answers. And so it's through this kind of conversation and the energy building that we saw in the great sessions with Phyllis and Margie at the beginning, to see people get energized around coming up with their own answers. And as leaders in Rotary, I think that's our most important role. Help those leaders become energized to help the people we're working with come up with answers.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much. I'm all energized now. Excellent. Okay, so then, so we're going to do a quick little survey of today's session to help us, improve things moving forward and help us with what we did really well. So Kevin's going to do a quick survey. If everybody could take some time to just answer them, and we'll post up the responses, and then we'll close out our session.
Okay, so hopefully everyone sees a poll on their screen.
If you don't, it might be hidden behind your screen, so but it should pop up.
Okay, responses are pouring in. We're at 88%. And we're at 91.
Where's my cookie?
I'm gonna close the poll and we'll
Hold
see
on,
the
hold
result, okay?
Hold on.
So there,
Excellent. So we've got the most, how you see coaching helping in your role is really all of the above. Most people building relationships, member engagement, and the effective leadership qualities. Thank you so much.
okay, let me, we got 3 questions coming up in this. We're actually going to see all 4 questions, so you can ignore the first one.
I think you can scroll down. Now we're seeing
Yes.
all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, there's a scroll
Okay.
bar on the right, so there are 4 questions altogether, but the first one you've already answered, so you can just answer 2, 3, and 4.
You actually have to answer all 4, otherwise the submit button doesn't light up.
Right. I didn't get the submit either.
If you just re-answer number
Oh.
1.
I see. Okay,
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we have 80% have responded so far. Okay, I will close the poll in about 10 seconds.
So while we're waiting for that, we had a good question in the chat room here. When is the next session? So
I'll be announcing
Bill
that.
will be announcing that
I'll be
before
announcing
we
that
leave here
shortly.
today. Okay, so our results. So we talked about the first one already. The second one, the top benefit coming out on top, although very close, was being able to practice and observe the coaching sessions. Was it a valuable use of your time? Yay, that's probably the most heartwarming one for us. And should the coaching session be longer, shorter, or was it good today? Again, great to know that an hour and a half was a good time. You had valuable learning, and we'll keep that time frame the same. Thank you so much, everybody. And Bill, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My deepest thanks to everyone for giving up your Saturday mornings. It's been, from my point of view, it's been an awesome session. The reason we're trying to move away from training per se to coaching is that it was thought that training just isn't working anymore. Training in the way that it's done at PETS and the Institute, it doesn't seem to be working anymore. So coaching is more appropriate in today's environment. So I really do have to thank Al and Angela and Louisa and Doug for putting this together. To Kevin for being the technical whiz. It's been an awesome morning. Thank you so much, everybody.